Welcome to VO's headquarters in Copenhagen. This is VO Trailblazers. We're very lucky today as we've been able to speak to Guillem Balague, the award-winning sports writer and chairman of Biggleswade United in the UK's 9th tier. We also have the ability to speak to my colleague, Cal, who's the product manager on live for VO. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Thanks so much for this today.
No problem, excited.
As we said, we got a really cool opportunity to speak with Guillem Balague. I know you and I know him well, we're big fans. What's interesting is that not just writing biographies of Messi and Pep Guardiola, he's the chairman of Biggleswade United. We're going to show you the interview and then get your reflections and thoughts afterwards.
Fantastic.
Thanks.
I was in Jordan for an event, and Maradona was going to be in it. I was going to introduce him to the audience and interview him in front of an audience. And before you get there, you go to a place that's called the green room, where you break the ice a little bit and talk about things that don't matter to just, try to create some connection. I saw a table with like 10 Argentina shirts. At the time, I think the sponsor was our local plumbers. Anyway, he comes in and he goes like, "What's that one?" Boom, jump in, and he's like, "Biggleswade United, 9th division, we're in England, these are the plumbers." And he goes like, "Oh, great. Do you want a picture with it?" "Yes." "Do you want me to sign it?" "Yes." I want everybody to have the most professional experience they could have. Are we paying them? No. But I know that it could be the first step. In fact, it has been the first step of many to actually get into professional football. And they look back and said, right, what we were doing there, the standards that were required, the commitment that was required is what is required at professional level. And many people have bought the idea because it does allow them that experience. You don't get many players that become professionals, but you can get physios and coaches that can go into the next level. And by being surrounded by UEFA Pro coaches, UEFA B coaches, people that want to improve themselves, certainly creates a culture where professionalism it just touches everything. You have to keep the balance because, of course, this club has been driven by Tracy James, who's been the secretary for 4 decades soon. And she has a sense of community that we never abandoned. Never forgetting that this is done for the kids around here, for the parents around here, for the coaches that are local, and to make sure that Tracy, is she around? That she's happy as well. It's the soul of the club, is the reference. The first thing that we need is not money. The first thing is to convince everyone that that's the right way to go. You have to have a journey, you have to have the people that push it and the energy from them that help you. You have to certainly have a brand, and then you have to knock doors and see who wants to help you. And the only way to get everybody involved is not only to create that picture of being somewhere that they are building and is a touch special, but also that is based on good stuff, on values, on respect to the authority, respect to the referees. Let's make sure that they grow, and the time they spend here, they can grow, being the best people that they can be. Let's to those that are kids or teenagers, let's put a structure in which they know that discipline is important, that commitment is important, that process is important. Once we've identified an identity that we're happy with, and that gets improved every time somebody new comes in. It's about embracing all the way of thinking, all the realities, all the people. That's the petrol of the whole thing. And the reward that I get from coming here as I've been now for 5 days. I used to live in England. I've moved to Spain, but I come every 2-3 weeks. 3 or 4 days that I spend here, it doesn't matter what the result is, to be able to see the under-13s growing, the under-12s girls growing, to see that the under-8s are trying to play from the back, well, pass the ball, try to see the bigger picture, but with a certain style and a certain way of doing things, and then being all that replicated in the men's teams and in the women's sides. That is, honestly, there is nothing like it. It just fills me up with energy, with joy, and it's the biggest reward of anything I do. We have to move with the times. We've decided to do it at a different pace than everybody else, and part of doing that is that professional approach that we want to take to everything we do. So the logical step is to have a video camera, for instance, the technology necessary, a GPS as well, that we hand over from Manchester City. That must have been like 3 generations ago. They didn't need it. Demands the coaches to use those tools to actually, for themselves to be better, for the players to be better. It attracts players, it attracts coaches. Hold on, you're saying that the games are streamed on video. Right, that's good because I want my job to be seen, or I want to analyze it later and show it to the players. I was the other day with the parents of the under-10s, and I said, right, it seems like we're going to have 2 video cameras. The first one, later for the seniors, they need to do the clippings and the coaching through that. But why don't we, and the head of youth, Dan Watkins, was there, why don't we get every single team recorded once or twice during the season? You can access the recording of it. The coaches may do clippings to show and send to the kids, the parents really, through WhatsApp. This is what you do, this is what you do right, this is what you do wrong. But just keep the whole filming. Just put it somewhere in your hard drive and check it in 8 years' time when they get into the first team. And already you created something special. And it's that simple. Use technology to grow, but also, to make them feel part of something special. One of the things that has surprised me the most, we are, I think, the second or third best followed club on social media, is the amount of people abroad that are interested in the club. You have to give them something, and maybe they give you something in return. And it's not just about sending shirts, it's about building an idea of the club we are, sharing it with them. And how can you do that if they cannot see you? And if you do it by videos and by clips, and you're talking about people that never had that opportunity to experience that, they could be the one who wins the goal of the month. In terms of the brand, is again the same. What are we saying here? We're saying about coaching, professionalism, be ahead of the times. You've got all that. And then if you've got the possibility of streaming, you've got the world. Streaming on Saturdays at 3 o'clock is a problem, of course, but it isn't a problem streaming on Sundays at 2 o'clock when the women's side play here. Or if we want to do it away, that's also possible. I love the Friday nights football, and we've done that sometimes, derbies especially as well. We get 300, 400 people here, and that could also be streamed. There's a lot of things that I haven't even imagined that we will benefit from having, streaming. The other clear case is, can we just hand over some visibility to the people that pay us money to go on, to the sponsors? And we can do it via through the commentary and through graphics on the streaming as well. Our plan is not to get to the Premier League, not even to conference level, I don't think. To do that, you need huge facilities and you need a huge push that, for all of us, we're all volunteers. We cannot dedicate the time to it. It will mean make the club a professional entity. But what we certainly want to do is a long list of things, which first used to be a couple, and now the list has gone bigger. Every time I go to every single person that are in the pictures, I've given them 9 seconds the story of Biggleswade United, who we are, what we do. Now that we've got this big plan, we'll see how far we can go, and if we are allowed to do the things that we like to do next. I've got 5 already massive names of footballers. When you start, let me know, because we'll help you. They want to give back, and being part of the Biggleswade United story certainly is another way of giving back. It's quite clear that the money that is earned right at the top has to come down, and it's not so we have a fancy clubhouse, it's so we have facilities that allow kids to actually play good football and be properly coached. I had this idea And I discussed this in the Messi biography that, he's so good because the pitches were so bad that he had to just survive there. And if he survived there, of course he's going to survive in the perfect pitch. No, it doesn't work like that. Give him the perfect pitch to a kid, because they'll be able, the coach, to teach him or coach him exactly what he needs of them. And he won't depend on a stone there or a half-broken bottle there that moves the ball around. It's not about that. It's just to give them the best way to be the best they can be. And it has to be through facilities. You know, in Biggleswade, there is no proper 4G pitch or 3G pitch. It's unbelievable. It's a town of 30,000 people and growing, because we're only 40 minutes from London. So the battle is, can we raise enough money to actually somewhere put a 4G pitch that allows us to grow and allows us to train together and allows us to put all these ideas that we've got of how the team has to play and how to behave, all that in the same facility. So if we have that and we have the help from those at the top, then it'll be easier to grow. Otherwise, like here, we'll just have to make our own story.
How does it make you feel?
It's awesome. It's a guy that straddles the divide between like elite football and grassroots stuff. Building a movement, and he's doing it with volunteers and without much money. Like it's crazy what he's doing there. The fact that we can come in and be a big part of that. The constant references to live streaming, of course, that's one thing that really professionalizes what they do. But they're doing it with facilities, they're doing it with the people that the backbone of the club. It's great for VO to be a big part of that.
It still blows me away. This guy's like, Messi's biographer,
Yeah.
But here he is, striving for something for a grassroots club. And a lot of what he mentioned, I think, are some of the things you're working on.
Absolutely. We've been recording content for a while. We've got great AI teams that can pull all the really great highlights from the content, but we're taking it to the next level with the live streaming. We can pull content from all over the world to display in different places. So as we can build that platform up, Biggleswade United could have fans in Brazil, they could have fans in Japan, and people that are tuning in not only to their live games, but they're getting alerts when there's particular goals scored or when there's certain highlights that are coming through. So the fact that the content is there, we just have to make the most out of it, for me is mind-blowing.
What does this mean for kind of broadcast of football? I mean, you and I were big football fans. What do you see this meaning?
I'm not sure. I'm intrigued to see how it does work and kind of what feathers we might ruffle, because it's a completely different approach to it. The amount of money that's getting spent in elite football is vast, and we know that it only gets spent in elite football. If we can move the needle down on where that money is getting spent, enabling these teams to be able to start earning some revenue themselves, their own streaming services, it's something that's massive, and it really opens up the floodgates.
That's one of the things that Guillem mentioned. He saw technology as a gateway to providing almost independence, to generate revenue. Just talk about that from your point of view as being almost a facilitator of that.
I think it is. It's exactly that, or we're empowering the clubs to do it themselves. When they've had to rely on external streaming or camera production companies to do this thing for them, the fact that someone can turn up with a camera, pop it up 3 meters in the sky, and they're able to stream their own game, you wouldn't have expected this kind of stuff a few years ago. Particularly with Biggleswade United. He mentions a lot in the videos that he's talking about creating opportunities for people. So he isn't throwing out expectations that we're going to be a conference club and we need this mad money. He's saying that he can create these opportunities in a community, and it's not just the players that he's talking about. He references coaches, he references physios, but we start building in this technology, you start opening up to people that want to move into marketing or people that want to move into branding. I've seen it with clubs that I've played for before that now have huge social media profiles. Like Biggleswade United's got tens of thousands of followers. Whoever's running that is already thinking in like a company approach to how they build this brand.
How do you foresee that working from a monetization standpoint?
A lot of it is we're making sure that it works and it's really good. If we're ever going to think about how we can help clubs monetize their live streams and other content, we need to make sure the performance of that product is second to none. But as soon as we have that at a really good level, we can open up with the clubs to say, like, let them even calculate what they want to be charging. If it's one of these smaller clubs and there's only one volunteer and a handful of kids, it might be a few dollars a month. But if you're looking at a club that has thousands of followers or fans, and that people are willing to pay for this stuff, then they can charge what they like. We're hoping that we'll be able to get some proof of concepts out this year. But again, the flexibility I mentioned before to say that some smaller clubs want to charge X and bigger clubs want to charge Y, there's a lot of technicalities involved with that. But just as a proof of concept to say, we know there's clubs that want to be involved in this, and we know that they want to be able to monetize a certain portion of their content that they own on our platform, then I think it's up to us to show them how good the platform is. If we can show them goals of the week, saves of the week, great matches in your area, whatever these things might be, we need to prove that the platform is engaging to everyone, to the viewer especially. And as soon as we can prove that, then the subscription model work should really roll out the back of that.
What does 2027 look like then? What's the future kind of that you're working towards?
I mean, there's the fact that we have the hardware and the content is being delivered onto the platform means that the opportunities are endless. When I can start looking at your viewing activity, you're always watching these saves, you're always watching things that are happening in Denmark, you're always watching things that are happening that are funny highlights that have been kind of edited by people themselves. I can start looking off the back of your viewing behavior and then offering suggestions on that. So yeah, like we say, that's a way down the line. And then bigger on top of that is, this stuff is global. If I could go down, sit on my sofa, and just put onto the TV, show me games in Brazil with more than 8 goals scored in the past 2 weeks, and just kick back and watch like a 5-5 game in Brazil in the last week, that's mind-blowing.
How would this play out to change kind of the way we look at conventional fandom? I'm a United fan, but I watch my kids' under-13 team religiously. I probably watch more of them than I do of a kind of Premier League games. What could this mean then with this opportunity to see your teams you may have a connection with?
Well, I guess it's harder to see teams, right? I think the average season ticket price in the Premier League is like 500 quid. I think Germany, they're doing it right. It must be like a third of that. But it's not affordable for most people to do this. If you want to watch it on TV, you're still paying crazy money for TV subscriptions and stuff like that. So even just the affordability of supporting elite clubs is out of reach for a lot of people now. But when we start bringing it down into the smaller clubs that we're talking about, especially down to grassroots, what it means to be a fan, I think, is completely different. Like you're actually part of a community at some of these smaller clubs, or even part of the club.
So we've talked about many aspects of this, but what about on a personal level? I'm thinking about your connection with the Jersey Bulls.
Absolutely. I've already got in contact with them to let them know about this, because the Jersey Bulls, they have hundreds of people that turn up to these games week in, week out. And the home games are on the island of Jersey, but the away games are in the mainland in the UK. So of course, hundreds of people can't travel to the games, and there's no way for them to watch the games. So it's a huge opportunity for a club like Jersey that's making their way up through the Football League. Of course, there's issues with the blackout rule, as Guillem Balague said there, that the 3 o'clock on Saturdays is off limits, but the Fridays aren't, the Sundays aren't, the midweek games aren't, and the blackout is only in the UK. So they could, in theory, live stream and I can still watch it. And the fact that we can provide this global audience says, yes, okay, maybe most of their fans are in the UK, but for people that aren't there, they can still build up this audience. So
if you could give one tip for now and then one tip to watch out in the future, what would that be? What should I be thinking about and doing ahead of live streaming?
I think making sure that the club and the admin side of things is done properly. There'll be communications coming out about that. But with the platform in the stage that it's in now and the speed that we're going to be building on it, you want to be one of the first adopters. You've seen it on all the big social media platforms. Whoever's there first and builds up that base following is who we automatically show as like popular games or popular clubs, popular teams. And if you're the first there, the early adopter, then the platform's yours for the taking.
Fantastic. Cal, thanks so much. It's so exciting to hear about the possibilities of this.
Big time.
Appreciate it.
Enjoyed it.